is what I meant to do.
Have you seen Kung Fu on the CW? Well, it had its best opening of any CW show in like 7 years. And one of the stars of the show, Shannon Dang, is with me. And I have to say, Shannon, it's all you.
Oh, thank you so much. I don't know what to say to that.
Isn't it? This is really
This is so exciting. This is so exciting. I feel like for the last month, it's been a surreal experience. We premiered and wrapped all in the same month. So it's just been a roller coaster of emotions and excitement. And I'm so happy to be here.
Well, I was excited to see Kung Fu back on TV. And this is like primarily I think most of the cast is Asian, right?
Yes.
Asian American?
We are the first Asian American led cast for a series drama on broadcast television. So that's pretty
fantastic.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's really exciting.
Well, I mean, I think back to 1972, the 3 years of the original Kung Fu, and David Carradine played, and his brother was his brother on the show, and that was back then. And look at the advancements we have made just culturally in Hollywood when you consider that back then, other people of other ethnicities would play Asians or Latinos or even blacks. I mean, things have really, really changed. How do you see it?
I think this is a perfect time for our reimagining. I think our reboot, Kung Fu, does a fantastic job of taking all the elements that people liked in the original, the action, the fighting, the storylines, and then reimagining it and putting a modern spin on everything. We have an Asian American female lead. Olivia Lang is fantastic. We have she's coming home to San Francisco and coming back to her family, which is also Asian American. And that's not something you see on TV every day. So just in itself, I think we've recreated something magical, and I think people are loving it, seeing this.
I love the snappy writing. I think the writing is really good. And it also has heart. And I think what I like the family dynamic probably more than any. I mean, I love there's no question, I love the action. But tell me about the dynamic of the families that are involved and the love interests and all of the things that are kind of developing out of this.
Yes, so I play Althea, which is the older sister of our lead, Nikki. And our family, it's the Shen family. It's been such a wonderful experience. I feel like growing up, I didn't have a lot of families to look up to when I was watching TV. So to be able to give that to other people, other families, and the Asian American Pacific Islander community is really special. And I think people are loving, they come for the action and they stay for the family. They stay for the relationships. These are fully fleshed out characters, and we even have a little love triangle going on. And the family dynamic, I think it's the most fun part for me to live in that world.
You know, it's funny because as I wonder about how people get to where they get to and where we end up eventually in our lives. I mean, was it your grandfather who was in the original Kung Fu? And
yes.
So now you're the granddaughter of Kung Fu. It's crazy.
So my great-grandfather and his family were one of the first families in Los Angeles, Chinatown. Mm-hmm. So back in the day, Hollywood, whenever they were looking for Asian actors or even just Asian people, because back then they weren't really casting full-on Asian characters unless you did martial arts, etc. So back in the day when they needed Chinese people to be in their movies, they would just go to Chinatown. So my grandpa, we have all these old footages and photos of him growing up and being in the Hollywood entertainment world, and that's kind of how it passed on to me. But he was in Kung Fu, and I didn't find out until maybe a month ago that he was in the original Kung Fu. Someone sent me a photo. Yes, I didn't know because my grandpa's very old. He doesn't really talk about it much. He just says, I remember the old Kung Fu. Then later we find out he's in it. I'm like, Grandma, you didn't even tell me you were in it. He goes, oh, yes.
Yeah, he was in the grasshopper version of Kung Fu, right?
Yes. Yes. So he's so proud. He's so proud. He watches us every Wednesday. It's so special.
So I know that you were probably the child that your parents and your family pushed you forward and said, okay, come on, Shannon, sing something for them. do something, act, perform. You're the little girl that was like, I'll do it. And am I right?
Oh, my parents have been very supportive, and ever since I was a little girl, I loved performing. And so, especially with the support from my grandparents, every generation, it was just more familiar to be in the entertainment industry. It was very supportive. They sent me on all my dance classes, all my musical theater programs. My dad took me to all my auditions growing up. It was so sweet. They've been, even in my dance career, they've been at every sporting event, watching me cheerlead, dance, you name it. My mom is so excited to see me on television and support.
Well, I know the feeling. My parents were the same way when I suddenly popped up on TV. You know, to see somebody named Carlos on TV was a big deal, and I was very proud of that. I was proud to make my parents proud. I was happy. It made me feel good.
I love that you just said that. I feel the exact same way, and sometimes I get a little emotional thinking about, like, this isn't just for me, it's for my parents. It's like, oh, don't make me cry right now.
Well, Shannon, you're a delight, and you've been picked up for a second season. So this is, charge on. This is fantastic news, and I'm so happy to meet you and talk with you. Congratulations on the success.
Thank you so much, Carlos, for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Shannon Dang.